Okay, this is flooding in Texas, and this is what it looks like. Your arborist is a professional. We've met with engineers, we've met with lawyers, everything to make sure that this system still works. So now I'm in my boots. Before I was in my suit. Check this out, this is flood control. Without proper maintenance of the trees, this wouldn't work.
Unfortunately, my client had not touched these trees for 30 years, letting them grow wild and choked with invasive species and deadwood, slowing the flow of water, like this live oak that sprouted in the main current splitter box. There's our Dean, and repair the cracks. While a retention pond retains water, a detention pond is usually dry and only fills in a flood when it detains extra water, and these are designed to withstand a 100-year storm. The pond systems are inspected by Austin's watershed department every 3 years. So, when an inspector noticed this flood control system was so overgrown, he checked the original site plans and found out that almost none of these trees were marked on the original design. He wrote a citation demanding 90% of the trees be removed and poisoned at the root. This would be a huge blow to my client, who owns this building complex. The complex itself is a biophilic structure designed around the forest. Each building has a glass wall that looks out into the live oak forest and the city beyond. You know, skyline trees. And this integration of trees into the design links the property value directly to its environment, the urban forest. This is biophilic design. The citation makes sense, since most pond systems have no trees at all, only harsh concrete and turf. The watershed citation carried running fines of $3,000 a day for keeping these trees on site. On the other hand, to remove the trees, we would need a permit from the tree department. Since the client let the trees grow to protected size, the tree department would issue mitigation fines for every tree we had to remove at $200 for every diameter inch. I was able to negotiate with both departments so that we could preserve the majority of native hardwood trees, so long as we removed deadwood, hazardous trees, and invasive species. For the trees which got in the way of the design, I labeled them as imminent hazards to the flood infrastructure.
Today my tool is marking tape, not so much a chainsaw.
And removing hazardous trees carries no fines. Getting the fines completely wiped away was not easy.
I'm tagging this juniper. In Texas, we call them cedar. For preservation. Why?
First, I had to prove the trees were part of the original design, even though they were not marked on the original drawings from 1995. To do this, I had to show that the trees didn't get in the way of the system, but might even help it function. First, I surveyed the trees against the site plan and did a tree risk assessment to mark the trees that may present a risk to the pond walls if they fail or fall over.
If I built this wall, I did not design it with this tree on top of it in mind.
Or if the roots were apparently elevating the shallow foundation or exploiting cracks.
Unfortunately, this tree sprouted right in the middle of this splitter box, which directs the channel. So first, we're going to remove the tree and repair the cracks. See my repairs right there.
Then, I compared satellite photos of the site since 1995, showing that the canopy was present during the original build with no drastic changes until now. I even brought the original civil engineer from 1996 on a site visit with the watershed inspector. With the engineer, we were able to establish that the trees themselves, as trunks, cylinders, did not eat up a significant volume of water when the ponds fill. Also, the roots provide erosion control and added filtration. In this process, I learned that the original designer and builder, Larry Peel, is something of an Austin legend for preserving trees even when traditional architecture says to remove them. Larry Peel's pond design system is biophilic because it integrates trees into the flood control system to increase that system's ability to control floods, while the structure itself is also designed to protect, preserve, and work around or work with the trees. The result is also aesthetic, with nature and architecture blending so seamlessly that it's difficult to tell them apart. After getting the permit, we did the maintenance work.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. Safety.
The end result is a more nativized, walkable forest and a high-functioning, unique flood control system, both of which contribute in a very literal sense to the appraisable value of the buildings, which in turn add to the appraisable value of the forest and its trees. Yes, arborists can appraise trees as assets. If trees aren't easy to protect on their own, What if they were money trees? In the end, this is a case study of how professional arborists use biophilic design to prevent unnecessary costs, preserve property value, and even increase property value through scientifically managing tree populations, blending trees into the architecture of the city, from the level of luxury condos and aesthetics down to the bones of a city at the level of necessary infrastructure.
And that is what an arborist does, increase property value.